Welcome to Shell's Pearls of Wisdom. I am here with the beautiful Cole and AKA.
Hi guys, I'm Cole Classic. This is so weird. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you on as well, Cole. Thank you for being on. For those who are just now getting used to some of my interviews, I am doing a whole pinup series dedicated to all my pinup ladies that I've met in the last few months. And I am just so pleased to announce that Cole here, Cole Classic, right? Is your pinup?
Hey, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, she just won 2020's Detroit Autorama. Woo woo! I know, and so we're gonna get into a little bit of her pinup journey a little later in the show. But I did want to give her those props because I got to stand on the stage next to this beautiful woman in the top 5 placement, and then she went on to win it all for all the marbles. And I'm just so happy for her. I don't know if she remembered me screaming because I probably busted her eardrum. But when they did call her name, I was just so incredibly excited for her. And I think it was just the pure emotions that she had on stage and being so happy that even from that point on, I knew that she was a special person. So I'm just so happy that she has actually honored me with this interview today. So thank you.
Thank you for asking me.
You're very welcome. So, just to kind of dive right into it, because I know a little bit of Cole's background because we talked about it a little bit before we started, and she has a pretty extensive history of just finding her way through the struggles of just growing up young and having some not so friendly things happen. And I just kind of want to start with that. Let's start with around the age of 5, Cole. What exactly was the turning point at the age 5 where you said that this is where things kind of went sideways?
Let's see. By the age of 5, I had already been molested by 2 men. The first man was son of a very prominent man. I went to my mom. She tried to help. She pushed forward. She went for pushed legally against this guy, and his family was able to protect him. And so when it happened the second time, I didn't think that it was even worth discussing anymore. And then shortly after that, I just kind of gave up. Like, I was a little bit cold. You could see in like my pictures, there wasn't much life left, and I could still go out and like put on the fake smile, and I was still able to really mask it well because nobody wants to hear about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I very much adapted to the life and believed that I was here more to suffer pain so others didn't have to type.
Wow.
Not in like a savior-esque, by no means, just like, suck it up, buttercup. Like, it's going to keep happening, so you might as well just deal with it,
Do you think you fell into the trap that a lot of women fall into, where this is just who I am, this is just what I'm used for, and this is just...
Absolutely. And my mom is an amazing, amazing, amazing woman. She had very much like battered woman syndrome. She has been married multiple times. She now has the most amazing man in the world. And anything I say about my mother now, if you ever meet her in person, and I'm saying this out to people who don't know her because you got to meet her.
I got to meet her, yeah. She's a lovely woman. Yeah.
She's amazing. And don't treat my mother different for what I tell you about her choices. Like, that's just not... She was suffering in a different way, and she wasn't able to protect me.
Just to kind of give you a side note, just to piggyback on what Cole is saying, because this too is something that I had a concern about when she told me her backstory. When people experience any kind of abuse, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, at any age, it is a little piece of their soul being torn and ripped away from them for the better part of their life, and they might never ever get it back. They're actually very lucky if they do. So for whatever Cole's mom had to endure in her abusive relationships, turned her into a person that she wouldn't be today for the simple fact because of what she was going through. And unfortunately, a lot of women have fallen victim to this kind of behavior. And if you ask them if they would do it all over again, yes, 100% would say, I would change everything that I did. But when you're in it, and there's not a lot that you can really do about it. So yes, for people who have experienced this, they completely understand, Cole, where you're coming from. For people who have not experienced something like this, yes, for people who have gone through abuse, you do things, you say things that you wouldn't normally do or say, but it's the circumstance of the situation. So yes, we do not make judgments here. We do not cast judgments on people because you do not know their struggle. And until you walk a day in their shoes, I suggest you don't judge their shoe color, okay?
Hey. Also, I'm going to get really, really ugly and talk about some really gross, crummy things that people don't know about all the time. I don't share any of my story as I want sympathy. Like, I share my story because I want a woman to hear that, holy cow, this girl's been through all of that and she still gets up in front of, gets up every day and goes and does something. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of women that have dealt with the same things I've dealt with and they haven't made it.
Yeah.
They either die of overdose or they commit suicide.
Yep.
So I want people to hear the upside of it. You know what I mean? So I had a really ugly life in childhood for a long time. And I dealt with a lot of domestic abuse, witnessing it with my mother. My mother, like I said, was always an amazing wife. She had really shitty husbands. One of the husbands was a firefighter, and police and firefighters sometimes have a unspoken bond, so we weren't always saved. If we called, we would have to escape in the middle of the night sometimes to hide from him. But we would leave my little sister because that was his baby, and he would never lay a finger on his princess. It was my mother and myself that was trash.
Was your baby sister his biological and you just weren't?
Yeah. So he was, that was my mother's second husband. Her third husband was also a very, very crummy man. I moved out at 14 and started selling drugs on the north end of Flint, Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, it's a rough neighborhood, baby.
One of the murder capitals. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dayton family, but that's real life. Like,
yeah.
Oops, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
It's a really bad area and a bad neighborhood, but I made the best of it. And honestly, me living in one of the worst neighborhoods in the United States, and the highest murder per capita for years on years on years, it was safer and I felt more secure there than I did at home.
That's a shame.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I was seeing people's lives destroyed, and I was contributing to it, but I was destroying myself too. When I was 9, I started drinking, and I started drinking pretty heavily. There was a lady down the road who was also an alcoholic, and she had a breathalyzer on her car.
Mm-hmm.
So I blew, we'd go to the liquor store, she'd share her booze. It worked perfectly.
Yeah. Match made in heaven.
Yeah, a 30-some-year-old woman drinking with a 9-year-old girl.
Oh, gosh.
Perfect. Makes perfect.
How did you, at 9, even have that interaction where you even could even meet a 30-year-old woman who would drink with you?
Well, the sad thing is that was my baby sister's friend's mom. So I would go over there, and we kind of were the grown-ups with the little ones type thing, you know, and it just didn't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
But I seen the lifestyle that alcoholism could do, and it didn't scare me. And she didn't have a great life either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was not a good mother. And once I knew that I was going to be a mother, and I realized that I still couldn't get my drinking in check, then it was different. And I'm going all over the place. This is crazy.
It's okay.
Um,
It makes sense. You totally just did the segue. So basically, kind of like to help Cole, because I know she's nervous. Basically, Cole has shared with me that this kind of recap. At a very young age, she was molested by not just one, but a couple of different men, which caused her to have to want to escape. And the escape started very young. As she just said, she was 9 years old when it started. And she was able to get a hold of these kind of things from an older adult who herself had a chemical dependency to alcohol, and she needed the help of her to basically be able to run her vehicle, which was hooked up to a breathalyzer, which if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's a contraption where it won't let you drive until you can prove that you're not drinking. So Cole is now a wonderful mother of a 12-year-old boy, and we're going to get into that deeper, but I think that he is her saving grace at this point and saved her life. So
most definitely.
Yeah. So
my son definitely gave me the quality of life that I wanted, a quantity. And, you know, at such a young age, like, I was good and ready to be gone at any moment because there wasn't much joy. So I didn't care. I don't really understand.
You being in the lifestyle that you were in, Cole, at that time at such a young age, how often did you find yourself in just compromising positions with other men or with other people that just put you in like these not so good situations?
You know, that's the craziest thing about like child molestation and drug dependency, alcohol dependency, harder drugs, all of it. You just want to escape. You know, you just want to numb it. You don't want to believe. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with it at all. So you numb and numb and numb and numb and numb yourself. And then you find yourself in the exact same situation that you're trying to forget. I've been held at gunpoint. I've been raped. I've been tied up. I've been beat regularly. Like, it was always because I was so messed up trying to not deal with things that I would put myself in the exact same position again. And it was time and time again. And, you know, there's this old saying,
go ahead, take your time.
It blows my mind to look at the perspective of a 30-year-old woman drinking with a 9-year-old thinking it's okay. I'm 30, I'll be 35 next month. My son's 12. 3 years ago, there's no way. My son now couldn't handle alcohol at all. You know what I mean? Like,
now that you are at this stage of your life, and like you said, you made a good comparison to you being 35 and having a 12-year-old. Now, I know you probably came to this realization at this point, but you do now know that this behavior was nothing of your fault, though. You were a child. It's totally, you were a child. So
Yeah, most
things that
definitely.
have happened to you, the rape, the molestation, the having an adult introduce this kind of life to you, you do know that now is not your fault.
I do, but I also kind of am grateful for that woman that introduced me to the alcohol to numb the pain until I was ready to deal with it on my own terms. There was a lot of mental damage that I did to myself trying to conceal my whole childhood to my brain really functions extremely well, and it compartmentalizes things that were really painful, and it almost pushes it completely out of the way. So doing that and having those chemical dependencies, and those are the things that are like breaking it apart, and I'm not dealing with it anymore, and I'm not remembering that awful person, or it kind of just pushes it all away. And honestly, if I wouldn't have had the drugs and the alcohol for as long as I did, I don't think I would have made it. I probably would have killed myself. I was
Wow.
trying to kill myself in a not so awful way for my mother. Even though I didn't feel like I loved her at the time, I didn't want to leave her with the thought that I blew my head off. I figured an OD would be better.
That makes sense.
But I called her every time that I was dying. And every time I told her it was her fault, she could have saved me. And that was awful. Awful. And every time I flatlined, she was next to me in the hospital bed, waiting for me to come back.
Cole, how many times have you OD'd? More times?
And then I've drank myself into such a alcoholic stupor that I was brain dead for a while, or my heart stopped. I could still hear, but I was done. You know what I mean? That was my 19th birthday. My friends had taken me out to drink, and which legal drinking age in the state of Michigan now and then was 21. But I always had my ways. You know what I mean? I always had my ways to get what I needed to make sure that my brain didn't have to function properly. You know what I mean? But I went and I drank 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 and I drank, and I would have a bouncer carry me out because I was underage drinking, and I had another bouncer carry me back in, and I'd drink more, and then I had another bouncer carry me back out. Well, I was passed out in the bushes. Gone. They couldn't feel a pulse. My friends found me. They picked me up. They threw me in their car. The bouncers had blocked off the driveway because they didn't want to get in trouble for underage drinking. So they wanted me to get arrested even though I was dying. My friends blew through the car. They brought me back. They charcoaled me. They incubated, just disgusting, awful things. And, my mom was right there still. And I could never imagine my son doing that to me now. So I made sure that he never had any type of inkling of pain, except for him stubbing his damn toe. And he can't blame me for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So girl, I pulled it together. I didn't have an option. I got multiple DUIs. I was an absolute shit show. I moved to, you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. So I moved to the north end of Flint at 14. I got in trouble. I went to juvie for a year. I spent my sweet 16 in juvie. Bullshit.
What'd you do to get landed in juvie?
It was assault and battery, and it was necessary. It was what it was. But my mother kept denying me in court because her husband didn't want me at home. So I stayed a whole year. And I'm talking, I went to maximum in Midland. I went to Medium in Escanaba.
Where's that?
Way the fuck up in Michigan. So far away. So I was
With you
an
being that
hour.
far, were you even able to get visitors? Did people come and see you?
No. I did get to a closer. I forgot that you're not from Michigan either.
Yeah.
Okay, so I live here.
I love the hand. Everybody from Michigan always uses the hand. I love it.
I can have it like up in here. You know what I mean? Like I'm really geographically challenged.
It's
but
okay.
It's super. I'm mid-Michigan and it's upper, so it's either up here or in the UP, like the big peninsula.
Okay.
So super far away. It was what it was. I got my own place at 16 when I got out. It was a really cute apartment above a house, but my landlord's boyfriend was an absolute creep and would bother me regularly. I was 16.
I was going to say, how did you even get an apartment at 16? Like, where did you get the money? Where did you get the means?
My mother signed for me. I was never legally emancipated, but we all came to an agreement that I didn't do well there. You know. So I got jobs, and I got lots of jobs. I worked at a grocery store bagging. I worked at a Coney, like a small town restaurant waitressing. I worked for a telemarketing company. I was not old enough to be working that many hours.
I
was lying to everyone, and I was using a lot of drugs to keep me going. But I would sleep in class when I would go to school, and they didn't appreciate that. So I dropped out because I needed to work. So I dropped out.
I'm impressed that you still went to school and all this, trying to, even though you fell asleep. I'm just.
And that's what, you want to kind of push that, like, listen, I'm still here, but I couldn't. There was no way I could do that. I couldn't focus. My brain was not right. I couldn't focus when I was young because of the shit that was going on at home. I couldn't focus when I was older because I already found coping mechanisms that I absolutely loved. So my brain never really worked, I guess.
Your brain worked, honey bunch. Your brain worked.
It did. It kept me strong. It kept me safe.
Yep.
I'm very survivor-esque on every aspect. I'm very, I don't believe in victim. I don't believe in victimizing. I don't believe that I can blame my child. As a 34-year-old woman, I cannot blame something that happened to me at 5 years old anymore. Like, it is my responsibility to try to figure this out and break it down for me to handle so I can continue on with my life. Because I'm going to tell you, that man that touched me when I was 5 years old doesn't even think about me anymore. I don't fuck his life up. So why the fuck does he get to fuck my life up?
Yeah.
It's just not, I cannot let all the awful things that I did or look at other people that I went to school with, because I went to a great school, beautiful community, very just together. You know what I mean? Great opportunities for kids and, pretty well-off families. So I look at them and, they're doctors now and they're this and they're that. And I'm not, but I can't look at what they're doing with their lives because they didn't move out at 14. They didn't go to, you know what I mean? Like, you have to look at your cards, how they're dealt to you, and play your best hand.
Yeah.
And, there's no other explanation for it. So what I was going to tell you, though, is when I turned 18, well, I was 17, almost 18, I was basically just couch surfing at the time. I was staying at one of my friend's houses. Her family hated me. My tattoos were not okay. I had a big chest piece already. I got tattoos. I love them. I think they're amazing. I made myself beautiful on the outside before I was ready. I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't able to be beautiful. And, when you're abused for so long and you watch your mother be abused and you hear how worthless you are at all times, you really do believe it. And when it's stuck in you for so long, there's no other way. So for me, I loaded on the color, girl. Like, let's get it. Let's try to make it beautiful, you know?
You used your body as a canvas.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I was very much an ugly duckling. My mom was smart. She knew I looked good in bangs. She just wasn't capable of giving me the bangs that looked good on me. My mom was so mean. She would just, I'd be a mess, girl.
Oh no, she gave you the 5-finger forehead?
Oh, most definitely. She was not kind. So I was couch surfing. Me and my friend that I was living with, or staying at her parents' house's couch, in the pool barn. So it was like a detached apartment. You know what I mean? It was still her parents' house, but it wasn't their house. I wasn't laying on her parents' couch at 18.
Right.
We went to the carnival, and she fell in love with this little carny boy. And we went there for 2 days, and I met this super rad chick, and she had the Red Bull and I had the Jägermeister, and we became best friends. Well, the carnival was packing up, and
did you become a carny?
Yeah, 3 summers. I had a blast.
That is, you're like the 3rd carny I know, and all of them are awesome people.
Yep, I joined the carnival.
That's
awesome. Joined the
awesome.
carnival. I had a blast. I went all over the country. The first one I ever went to, I left from Flint, Michigan, and I went to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, which is the biggest state fair. Like, these people save their money up for the state fair once the state fair ends for the next year. You know what I mean? They're like,
oh, wow.
All right, here's $5 for the state fair for next year. Like, they're ready.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. It was amazing. I worked the guy games that, they'd go and buff up and show their girlfriends that they can throw a ball at those 3 blocks.
Right.
And I had a blast. I did it all summer, and then I would come home and I worked at a tattoo parlor, and I worked in the gentlemen's clubs. I was a bartender, waitress, and shot girl. That's where I learned how to do everything. I've been a bartender now for almost 17 years. It's crazy, but yeah, when I was traveling with the carnival, I went for 3 summers. The chick that I met that told me to come out on the road with her because she was so cool, she lived in Ocean City, Maryland. I met the love of my life there. Not real life. I was heavily involved in drugs and alcohol. I was very under the impression that nobody would ever love me. Nobody would ever be there for me. Nobody would ever give a fuck about me. And here's this gorgeous big Russian with a thick accent, and he says, "You must marry me." And I said,
okay.
Bet. And I did. And it was a horrible decision. I came home shortly after. He put his hands on me.
How old was he compared to you? How old was he when you married him?
I was 19. He was 22, because the night we got married, he went out drinking with his buddies and left me at home. I knew instantly it was a bad decision. It definitely was a citizenship arrangement, but I had no clue about it. I thought that if he married me, he was going to have to love me. You know what I mean? At least give it a shot.
Right.
Because I'll be dead before I'm divorced. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now I feel like I'll be a widow before I'm divorced. Just saying.
I kind of agree. No, I'm kidding.
So he put his hands on me. I called my mom. My mom got me a bus ticket home to Michigan. I rode a bus from Maryland to Michigan.
Let's go back. When he put his hands on you, how bad was it? Was it just a shove where you're like, I'm not doing this? Or was it like a sure enough where this has to stop today?
Do you remember the Russian in Rocky?
Yeah.
I was at the grocery store too long, though. I deserved it.
And she's being
full of
very
fucking
sarcastic right now, just in case
Oh,
you guys
most
can't
definitely.
tell.
I'm so
Being
sorry.
very,
Yeah.
very sarcastic.
It just, I mean, when the work is there and you're getting blamed for other, you know what I mean? Like, what could I have been doing? I literally have the whole car full of groceries. And the craziest thing is it was a Russian, like, I went to get everything to make this Russian cuisine for him to show him that he picked the right American girl. Because I'm going to still, like, honor his culture and I'm going to learn about it. You know what I mean? Like, I really want this to fucking work. I'm a shit show disaster mess. But I want somebody to love me. You know? And he was not the one. I came home. It was definitely the right thing to do. I soon thereafter ran into my son's father at a bar. And before I had left to move to Maryland and ended up meeting my husband, I had met my son's father. And I didn't really care for him that much. But he said he was a dog trainer or good at training dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this pit bull that I loved, but she was not a good girl. And so I took his number down, but I never thought anything of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Got home. Oh, and we exchanged numbers. My bad. We exchanged numbers because when I got home from Maryland, he still had my number. And it had been like a year and a half at that point. You know what I mean? Like, clean your phone out. Ew. But I thought, ooh, that's so sweet. It's so romantic. Like, here it is. This is the one. You know, like my mom everybody in my family has had a divorce for the most part. You know what I mean? So I'm like, maybe I just had to have the practice one, you know?
You just had to knock one out first.
That was not the case. But I got the most amazing thing ever out of the deal. And I'm so beyond grateful for my son's father, even though he's not involved with my son's life. I thank him regularly, and I never talk ill about him in front of my son. I don't believe in that. I don't think that it's fair for one parent to talk poor about the other parent, because you got to understand that these kids identify as half and half. So if I tell him that his dad's a piece of shit, then my son's going to think that he's half of a piece of shit, and my son's not. My son is love. My son is extraordinary. My son is phenomenal, and I'll be damned if he thinks that he's half of anything other than phenomenal.
I love that.
More I love than that.
And that is something that a lot more women have to adapt in their life.
And you know, it's hard. The crazy thing is when I had gotten with his dad, he had a 7-year-old son, right? I was 20 when I met them. His son, I just took out to dinner for his birthday, and he's 21 now.
Oh, wow.
So their dad kind of stepped back. The dad's kind of involved with the 21-year-old, but never has been involved with my son since he was 18 months. And that is why I got sober, as his dad had just taken off. I went out drinking, and I still drink the way that I drink. And it was right after I was done nursing, and I started like alternating babysitters when he was little, and I would only drink when he was sleeping, but then I would feel so bad because what if he climbed out of his crib and he fell and I couldn't take him to the hospital? Like, what a shit mom I am that I'm just sitting here getting fucking sloshed, and then I'm dealing with him with a hangover, which my son never was drugged through the mud, and he never was neglected during my alcoholism. And I'm so beyond blessed about that. And that's only because I quit when he was so young, because I had this horrible reoccurring nightmare of me passed out on the couch, him and his teenage buddy coming home. You know, my son at that age is, you know, I think in the dream he's teenager. I don't know. Older than 12. He looked older than my son now. You know what I mean? But in this dream it reoccurred, and the friend was so concerned about me passed out on the couch. And my son was so not concerned because she's just a drunken loser. You know what I mean? She's just
Oh,
passed
wow.
out. Like, and I could never let my son see me like that.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't still instantaneously. I definitely got sober because the state of Michigan and the courts reminded me yet again, and the jails and the cops reminded me yet again that they frown upon my drinking capabilities. I either love to fight or I love to drink and drive. I put people's lives at risk all the time, and I'm disgusted with it now. But I was hurting so bad still. You know what I mean? The pain was still there.
Yeah.
And I was so mortified with my son of, am I going to be capable of loving him? Because I've lacked a lot of love experience in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard to show love when you never had love. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it clicked, you know? So my son was 1.5 years. His dad had just kind of like completely just dipped out. I knew that he was now not going to be a father. Like, I could just tell it wasn't what he wants to do anymore. And I was fine with that. I had told him that I don't want child support, that I just want his time with his son, and that's that. I never received child support. I think it was 4 years ago, my son asked for my last name because he still had his father's last name, and he is an athlete. He plays football, wrestling, and races BMX, and his name is announced all the time on the speakers, and he didn't want a name that didn't match mine.
Oh, God, that got me emotional. Wow.
That was beautiful because my mother was married so many times, so we always had so many last names in our house. You know what I mean? There was Smith, Jones, Johnson. None of those are real names. I
figured because they were all black sounding names. I'm like, really? Smith, Johnson, and Jones?
And we have Hispanic last names. Oh, man. Yeah, so, I mean, I identified with it when he said it, but I never would say it to him. Like, I was waiting for the day that it bothered him. And when it did, I jumped on it. I was so excited.
Yeah. That shows his maturity, because for him to be at such a young age already, to know that his worth was more than just having this person who is obviously absent out of his life. He knew his worth, and that is a testament to you.
Yeah, most definitely. But I don't feel like I can take the credit. Like, he just came to me so amazing. Shell, like, I tell you,
Cole, I'm gonna have to tell you. You think it's not you because you don't give yourself enough credit, because you feel like you were in such a bad fuck up state that how can I have made such a wonderful creature? But honestly, everything that you've gone through up to this point has led you to be the mother you are. So for him to make those decisions, it was because you planted a seed and it grew. And that is just the truth. And don't deny yourself that.
Shell pearls wisdom.
I didn't mean it to be a pearl of wisdom. I'm just telling you exactly how I feel. Like, I really do. You have to be. You still are in the habit, I can tell, where you do not know how to give yourself the credit and the respect and the love that you deserve. And that is honestly, Cole, that was you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do claim to be a good mother. Like, I'm beside myself at the kid that I have. But I'm telling you, he came so amazing. Like, he made it so easy for me to be a good mom. Like, every bit of it. From day one, he was just perfection. And he's 110% me, so he's got attitude problems. But he's slick with it. You know what I mean? He's smart. He's just,
he's Cole awesome. 2.0.
Hey, the better version. The less cold, jaded, retrained 12 times.
You can do the middle finger to my camera. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah?
She has this awesome cup.
That was a really big drink to get the up. Girl. So, we've talked about a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think it's right about the time where I want to now get to the fact that I'll give you a little bit of an intro into this. So, with everything that Cole has shared to us, it has led her to the moment where she kind of got thrown into this pinup life kind of randomly. And I think she stated that her coworkers actually pushed her to join her very first pinup contest, which is amazing. Because most of the ladies, all of the ladies so far that I've talked to, all seeked it out themselves. So you're the first one who actually kind of had the nudge.
Yeah, I've always loved it from afar, but I was always so intimidated by it. I'm such a firm believer that my personality is so much better than my looks, and that I don't see, you know what I mean? Like I never feel like that beautiful, pretty girl. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm that funny chick. I'm the funny, bitchy bartender. I'm the one you can kick it with, and we're just chill. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
I'm the one you can come to about everything. I've never just been like, I'm so fucking beautiful, because I've never believed it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I'm in the same boat you are, baby.
And it's so crazy because I look at all of our like pinup friends and everything, and I'm just like gassed by them. Always. Your collarbone, your beautiful cheekbones, your full lips, your perfect skin. I mean, stop it.
And I promise you, while you're sitting there, I'm looking at like every blemish, every flaw, every whatever. Trust me.
This is bullshit. This is what I talk about though all the time, is we don't love ourselves enough. We don't treat ourselves properly, you know. I don't remember anything at all from Autorama at all, but my friends kept making fun of me afterwards because I went into a Southern twang and said, treat yourself. You know what I mean?
Like, you said y'all tell y'all. I loved it. That's what sold me right there. As soon as you said y'all, I was like, I love her. Give her the crown right now. Give it to her.
Stop it.
And then the dimples. And the dimples, girl, baby, bye. I could go swimming in those bad boys. Let's take a little dive inside of them.
Well, they are definitely store-bought, not God-given.
For your dimples?
Yes, girl. I had chubby little twinkle cheeks.
Oh, because you have the Marilyn Monroe, what are they called? They're not Marilyn.
Cheeks, just cheek piercings, dimples.
I love them.
But it created the dimple.
I might have to do this.
I think that it would look phenomenal on you. But if best friend is not a fan of piercings, you do not tell him that I encourage that behavior, okay?
I promise you I won't.
He's going to be like, I remember those cheek piercings. This is not cool. What was that girl's name?
Be like, it is cool. But for real, Cole, now that you're in it, and you are obviously racking it up, because for people that don't know, like I said in the beginning, she just won one of the biggest pinup contests that there is, and that is Detroit Autorama, which is, everybody knows Detroit is Motor City. So, you know, so for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna just kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of some of her accomplishments. So she's come runner up or won a side crown, which was Miss Bikes. What was it?
I've been first runner up 2 years in a row at Miss Bikes on the Bricks, which is downtown Flint, Michigan.
Okay. And then I know you said Miss Panty Raid.
My friends. Pardon?
Miss Panty Raid?
Oh, I got runner up there too. Yeah. I got a
Okay,
little
that sounds really
clown
fun. I'm gonna have to
one.
talk to you about Miss Panty Raid off the camera because that sounds like my cup of tea. And
It was,
then,
it had a
um,
talent portion. It was so cool.
yeah, okay, because I'm like that sounds like my cup of tea. And then there was
Yep.
Miss Sins of Steel, fan favorite.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I just, oh my gosh, Sense of Steel is just so cool. It's outside. It's in like, I don't, there's like horse barns. Just, you can see horse barns. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. The setup's so cool. And the weather's always awful. And
What's the city that's in? Where's that?
Davisburg, Michigan.
Okay, so that's in Michigan.
Yep. So, and that one was just canceled this year too, due
I
to
know a lot of them
COVID-19.
are.
Such a bummer.
Let's see. That was really sad. Like it. Yeah, we won't even talk about that. Okay, so let's move on to your crowns. So let's start with, because we already know about the big one. So what was your very first crown?
My very first crown was not a crown at all. My very first crown, I got Miss Freaky Tiki 2018, and
Okay.
it was just a beautiful sash, a beautiful custom sash and a swag bag, no crown at all, just the title. And
Hey,
it was so,
that's all
it
you
was
need
like
is the title.
bamboo.
Yeah.
It's like a tiki design pattern, thick like material, and then it had like little bamboo that said Freaky Tiki. It was so
Oh,
cool.
that's super cool. And
Yep.
then I know you came up runner up in the Miss Sins of Steel, but then you came back and with a vengeance and took that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was crowned the following year after being crowd favorite. Then I got the favorite for that time, which it was, I don't know. The crown for that one is so heavy. Oh, you know what? I got, for Miss Freaky Tiki, I got the sash, and then I got a vintage electric hair dryer as the trophy.
Oh, cool.
That's what that was. And then Miss Sins of Steel, when I was crowned, they gave me like a 10-pound crown that gave me the biggest headache in the world. But it
Oh
was so cool
no.
because it was made out of like JB Weld and sprockets and spark plugs, and super cool.
Yeah. Um, and then 2020, February 29th.
I just can't believe it. Like, it's just, I'm such a dork. I'm so, like, I don't know how to act. I slap the lipstick on and I'm like, all right, let's go. But I don't have much poise. Like, I do little bits of like pretty hands, pretty feet when I can like actually think about it, but my face don't lie. Miss Autorama 2020, there's a picture of me checking out one of the contestants' butts. Luckily, she had a good butt, so I'm smiling. My face was awful once I was announced. Like, I could not control the excitement. It was a lot of ugly faces, and it was what it was. But there were so many people, and thinking back to being a little girl and being told all the time, how worthless I was and how ugly I was, and just basically that I was going to be nothing but a shitbag my whole life. And I definitely tried to follow that path. Like, I believed it 110%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They say when you speak things into existence, things happen. So if you're told over and over again that you're not going to be anything and you're not going to amount to anything, yeah, soon enough you're going to believe it.
Most definitely.
I'm just glad that you rebuked it and you did not allow that to define you. And that's what you said. You said, fuck you.
It wasn't directed to you, but
Hey, I get it. I take no personal, I don't take that personal.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the actual competing blows my mind because I'm so me. I'm so raw. I definitely want.
That is exactly why you won. When I was talking to the judges, that's exactly what she said. She was like, when you come up there in your true blue, who you are, they can tell. And they said that they can see right through when people come up there like, hi, I'm Miss So-and-so. And they're putting on this persona. And the fact that you know, yes, you had a little bit of a twang that came out of nowhere, but that was why they loved you, because they knew it wasn't like that was just how you wanted to present yourself right then. You didn't have
awkwardness is all no big deal.
Yeah, but that was what made you endearing. That's what made you like special, because you let your awkwardness kind of like shine through and you didn't care.
I think that's where I'm at in my life now, is I wore so many masks for so many years and I just can't. I want you to see me all in the raw, in the flesh. I want the people who are experiencing the same amount of pain to identify with me and know that you can get out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and you can't do that when you're just constantly smiling and saying everything's okay still. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect, but I went from being a cold, calculated little girl that didn't believe in any type of kindness, humanity, anything, to the most loving mother, sports mom of two Great Danes, one being a rescue that I love so much. Like, I have so much love now and so much just like joy, genuine joy that I never knew. I could never have told you what the definition of joy was when I was younger. That definition of joy came in the last 12 years.
I'm going to tell you, this is a great segue to your pearls of wisdom. I mean, you set me up perfect. Like, I couldn't even plan it any better. I'm just saying. So, remember how I said that you were going to do it? You didn't even know you were going to do it? So,
oh, man.
You did it. Like, I told you, it happens. For some reason, when you're being honest and you're just being genuine, it just flows. And this has flowed. And I just want you to take the opportunity now, Cole, and to all the little girls and maybe the 5-year-old little girls that might see this, who've gone through it, who are in the thick of it, who think that they're going to be nothing, that they're not going to be anything but a loser, or not anybody's but someone's punching bag or somebody's cum rag. Explain to them your pearls of wisdom.
Ooh, girl. Cole's pearls of wisdom. It's always going to hurt a little bit thinking back about it. But looking back at, first and foremost, I want you to know that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. These people are sick. They're bad people. They're hurting people, and hurting people hurt people. And it's a really vicious cycle. And my pearl of wisdom is, you got to break the cycle, baby. You just got to break it. You got to say that you're stopping it. You can't continue it. You need to stay strong, and you need to know that you may have been a victim, but now you're a survivor, and you're not allowed to make victims out of people.
Yeah.
And that's Cole's pearls of wisdom.
That's awesome. That was great.
I don't know.
Great. That was great.
You can't let somebody else define you, ever. But it's so hard to find yourself, especially with the way that society tries to push us into our own little groups, too.
I always say that someone is always ready to see you fail, because they're going to use your dead body to step up and make themselves better.
Oh.
So,
How many pearls of wisdom did you give, girl?
I haven't done my own personal journey, but Cole, I've been through it too. I get it. So I
And I'm
mean,
sorry I was so scatterbrained.
you are not. I'm telling you, it's you stayed on topic more than you think. And I'm gonna like let this wrap up because I think that this has been such a great little piece. It's a great segment, Cole. And I always kind of put my little stamp on it at the end. And I'm just gonna tell you, just from my point of view, and this is just my personal opinion now. You are what I call a rare stone, meaning that it might not always be the most beautiful when you find it, but after it's been polished and shaped, it becomes precious. And you are just at this polishing and this shaping point of your life, baby. And you are precious now.
Man, that tumble dry though is pretty rough on those. It hurts to get all polished up. I'm telling
you know
you.
what? Sometimes you gotta take the licking to keep on ticking. So
absolutely,
that's all you've done. And your son is so blessed because he's gonna have some problems in his life where he might suffer with bullying, or he might have like where he's not doing the greatest in a sport and he might be hard on himself, or all these things that are going to happen when like puberty hits and like teenage time hits. And I'm telling you, and because of what you've been through and because you can be his rock, you're going to be able to be there for him now too. And it's going to be an amazing journey for him as well. So you just keep your head up. You don't ever let your crown get crooked. And you just keep doing what you're doing because you were doing amazing. And I know sometimes you feel like you might not be. But those are the times that you have to buckle down and really push through it. All right.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Cole, again. I thank you, everybody that's joined us for this Pearls of Wisdom with Cole and myself. Like I say all the time, if you guys enjoy this, please click like at the bottom. Click, 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 click. Subscribe.
now.
I know, now. And then keep on the lookout for her. She is a rising star. And I'm just going to see if I can catch a wave on it so I can get a little bit of a sparkle and glitter behind it, because it was fun writing her coattails at Autorama. I still loved it and I enjoyed it. And I would love to have you get on the show and just kind of like check in on you, just see how you're doing and
anytime,
like all that's going for you. But I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks, you guys. Cole, hang on. Don't hang up. I'm going to talk to you a little bit afterwards. But thank you guys for joining me for Shell's Pearls of Wisdom, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so very welcome. Thank you for being on the show.